All right, so the average rate of change is just another way to tell you to find the slope between 2 points. So in Algebra 1, slope is something that you spent a lot of time learning. And so you learned a formula to find the slope between 2 points. And it was a fraction, and you do something on the top and something on the bottom. Do you guys remember that slope formula? Okay, that y equals mx plus b is like this slope-intercept equation. That is something good to remember, but we're not using that today. So this is different. Like you have 2 points on a line, you want to find the slope in between them. Anybody remember? All right. Did any of your algebra teachers tell you the yum yums on the picnic table? Okay, it's fine. Yum yums is actually y minus y. So y2 minus y1. That's the yum yums. And the picnic table comes from the fraction bar, and then the x's kind of look like a picnic table. X2 minus x1 on the bottom. Some people say Mr. McWhorter talks about the yum yums on the picnic table in geometry. If you do some slope in geometry, I don't know. But what I need you guys to remember is you subtract the y's on the top, you subtract the x's on the bottom. So what we're going to have on finding the average rate of change is you're going to have a function. It's either going to be this form where it's an algebraic form, or it's going to be a table, which is the easiest one to do, or it's going to be a graph. All right. And so what we're going to do is find the 2 points and then subtract the y's on the top and the x's on the bottom. And so your interval is written different ways. So this first one, it says to find the average rate of change of that function as x changes from 1 to 9. So what that means is that x1 is 1 and x2 is 9. And what we want to do is find the y's that go with those x's. And so this is kind of like part of what we did yesterday. So I'm going to take 1 and I'm going to put it into my function where x is. So instead of x cubed plus 11, it's going to be 1 cubed plus 11. And that's going to be 12. So what that is the ordered pair where x is 1 and y is 12. That's x1, y1. All right. And then we're going to go back and do the same thing with 9. So we're going to find f of 9. So where the x's, we're going to do 9. So it's 9 cubed plus 11, which is a way bigger number, 740. Now your calculator can do that for you super easy. Right, so the other point that we're using for our slope or for our average rate of change is the point 9, 740, where 9 is x2 and 740 is y2. Okay, so far we're just taking the points that they give you, plug it in, and find the y's. Now we're ready to do the slope formula. So we'll have this fraction. On the top, we're going to subtract the y's. So we're going to do y2, which is 740, minus y1, which is 12. And on the bottom, we're going to subtract the x's. That's your picnic table. Now, you can type it in your calculator exactly like that. Yeah, probably have it typed in from the previous class together. So to get the little fraction, you're gonna do alpha y equals, and you can just type the 740 minus 12 on the top, 9 minus 1 on the bottom, and that's your average rate of change, 91. All right. And so what that means is on this function from 1 to 9, the value for y is changing an average of 91. So it would go up 91 and over 1. It's a pretty steep slope. Well, if you got a negative 91, that means one of these is in the wrong order. Yeah. So be careful. You kind of have to keep the order consistent. So if we do this y minus this y on the bottom, we have to make sure we keep it in the same order. All right. Any other question? That's pretty much it. So let's do it again on the next example. Now the interval is not worded the same way. So this one, the first one, x changes from 1 to 9. This one, it says on the interval from 5 to 15, but that just means this is x1 and this is x2. So we're going to go and we're going to put 5 in for x. So in this formula, or this function, you square it and then add 2 to it, and that's going to be 27. So that's going to be the point 527. X1, Y1. Okay, and then we'll put 15 in. So it's going to be 15 squared plus 2. That's going to be 227. So the x2 is 15 and y2 is 227. All right, so we're ready for our fraction where we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2. It's alpha y equals. Okay, so I think when you have that in, you're just going to get 20. Okay. So on the table, it's just going to be way shorter. We're not going to have to do this part. We can just look at it from the table. So this time we want to find the average rate of change of g on this interval. So this is going to be x1. Uh-oh. There we go. Why won't it right? There you go, x1. This is going to be x2. And so the tables confuse people a lot because there's all these numbers you don't use. But all we care about on this table is when x is 1, this number here, and when x is 4. So this will be x1, y1, x2, y2. All those other points don't matter. You just ignore them completely. So we're ready to go ahead and do our fraction and subtract the y's in the numerator and the x's in the denominator. Now this one doesn't turn out nice and pretty like the others. They just simplified perfectly. This one is a fraction. It's okay. Lots of slopes are fractions. It doesn't matter. So that should be the average rate of change. Okay. And the last one, we're going to do kind of the same thing, but instead of having the table or the function, we just have a graph. All right, so our x1 is going to be -2 and our x2 is going to be 2. So what I want to do is go on the graph, -2 is right here, and find where that point is located. and this graph isn't super clear. It might look better on your paper. Mine's kind of blurry, but when x is 2, to me, it looks like y is 3. So that's the point, -2, 3. That's going to be our x1, y1. Right? And then the other point, when x is 2, which would be right here, it's right here, which looks like -5. So that's the point to -5. That's your x2, y2. All right. So we have our points. We're just going to subtract the y's on the top and subtract the x's on the bottom, being really careful that we don't switch up the order. We keep the order consistent. Great. And then you can just type that like that, or you could do it in your head. This one would be -8/4, which is -2. All right. So what questions do you guys have about average rate of change? Yes, sir. Okay. It's because of our interval. We want when x is 1, which is this one, and we want when x is 4, which is this one. All the other ones just ignore. Right. Any other questions? Don't worry, I'll give it to you.